Please give a warm welcome to Robert, everybody.
So, my favorite childhood picture is one of me and my sister. We're dressed in the clown costumes my mom made for us, wearing her makeup with a big bowl of Halloween candy between us, looking as happy as children can. We were always really close. We were poor, so we shared the same room. And she was always, when I would get bullied or punished, my biggest defender, my biggest protector. If I was being lectured, she'd be in the background rolling her eyes. You know, we had our own special way of talking. We went through a lot of hard times, but we had some good times. For summer vacation, if we were lucky, we got to go to our aunt who worked at Disneyland. She would get us in for free. In return, we'd put on these grass skirts and sing Maori songs in the backyard for her and her friends. When I was 13, I moved in with my dad. My sister, she stayed with my mom. And on the way back from the airport, I cried. And it wasn't just the tears. It was the salt-stained, runny nose, in the mouth, blubbering. You know, I was hurt. I had lost a piece of myself. 6 years later, our lives went in completely different directions. She moved back to New York with her husband, started having kids, family. I went to prison for life without possibility of parole. We stayed connected for a little while through the phone and writing letters, but at that time, phone calls were always collect. Prices started going up. For a 15-minute phone call with my sister, it cost $15. She'd have paid it. She wouldn't have cared. But I didn't want to be a burden on her, so I stopped calling. Letters started becoming fewer and further apart. You know, people have busy lives. But it was more than that. It was secrets. I'd gotten a letter from a relative of mine talking about my aunt that had passed away the year before. This is the Disneyland aunt. And I was mad. I called my sister up. I was livid. I'm like, why didn't you tell me that? You know? And she's like, well, I didn't want to burden you. I didn't want to lay that on you where you're at. I didn't know how you would react. I'm like, I'm a big boy. I can take this. And I hung up the phone. And I thought, you're a hypocrite. I'm not telling her anything. I'm not telling her about stabbings or riots or beatings. Why? Because I don't want to burden her. I don't want them to worry about me in here. And so we would go years without communicating at all. And then I graduated from Cal State Los Angeles. And they were going to have a ceremony, a graduation ceremony on the yard. And the clerk came by for sign-up sheets for our guests. I'm like, oh, don't worry. My family lives out of state. It's too much. And he's like, wait, whoa, bro. Give them a chance to say no. Just put their name down. What's it going to hurt? So I did. I called my sister up. I'm like, hey, I'm graduating. They're having a ceremony. You're on the guest list, but I know it's too expensive. It's like, don't be ridiculous. Of course we're coming. You know? So she comes on the first day of visit. She comes in. I don't recognize her at first. This is my big sister, and she comes up to my shoulder. You know, but I give her a hug, and it was moments. And we were back to our old ways of talking, looking at each other, those knowing looks, laughing, having a good time. And by the end of the day, she told me, we're not going to do this anymore. I'm going to keep coming to see you. We're not going to let 30 years pass between visits anymore. And now I talk to her every day. Thank you.